Two what?
Two
That's fine.
copies. There's
Here's a couple sets of minutes.
the top one's for you, 'cause
Which
that's the
one?
one that you signed.
Oh, at the top of each?
I just did 2 copies of the draft.
Wait a minute. Oh, yeah. There's one. You got one more?
No, I just did 2.
Oh, I got you. Sorry about that. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to the regular meeting of North Branford Planning and Zoning for Thursday, October 17th. In attendance are regular members DeFrancisco, Macian, and Dulac. First order of business is a set of minutes from October 9th. Now, when's October 3rd?
I have October 3rd as well.
Okay, all right. So from October 9th, which just got passed out. So if you want to take a second to look at them,
Yep.
since you didn't get a package with them in.
Were they emailed to you? Sorry.
They may have been.
Okay.
Yeah, you get one of them.
Okay.
This is the
Those are the 3rd.
okay.
Sorry, I only did 2 copies
These are
because I
the
thought
3rd.
you might have some, but.
Sign this one.
I think the 9th is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Someone want to make a motion on that one?
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from October 9th, 2019.
I'll second.
All right, Ron was absent, so we'll abstain. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That passes 3-0, and Ron abstained, so that one's good. And then we have the minutes from October 3rd, which we weren't able to do them last week. So if you want to take a quick look at those, if you need to, if not, you can make a motion.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from October 3rd, 2019.
I'll second.
Any discussion on those? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. That passes 4-0. All right. Moving right along. Okay. So we have the continuation of public hearing of 2019-7. That's for the coverage for the non-conforming lots, which were less than an acre. And where we left off was Carrie was going to put together maybe a larger scope of percentage.
Mm-hmm.
So, because one of the things in the discussion, just to kind of maybe refresh a little bit, is that when we use a percentage, when Carrie passed them out, so if you had a half acre and then a 0.5 acre and you had a 0.6, well, the way it was breaking that the person that had the 0.5 acre could have more coverage than somebody had 0.6.
Mhm.
So we can't just do like a straight percentage, maybe we have to do some kind of.
Let me go print those, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So, we
Yeah.
need to make it more sloped,
Yeah.
and so I think we need, if we're gonna do something like that, we might need to come up with a formula, which is a very simple formula that we can put together.
Yeah, but it just takes into account that way you just, have like, not say a mansion on like a small piece, but,
Right.
and then also to the next tier, or like, even the next parcel is slightly bigger,
Right.
they're not hindered to, well, they have that piece, they're not getting credit from having what their neighbor has type of
Right,
thing.
and the same, and Ron's point was, about, the size, is that somebody who has 0.9 should never be able to go, by the percentages, should not be able to do more coverage than somebody who has a conforming lot of over an acre, or an acre or over. So we need to just kind of,
Yeah.
Take that into
slope
account.
that in a little bit, or we could just not do anything. And
Yeah,
just
'cause
keep
we
on
do
throwing out there
zoning.
and let
Zoning
ZBA continue to see if there's hardships or go through their process.
Mhm.
So those are still on the table.
What do we have for surrounding towns? What percentage?
I don't know. We can ask Carrie,
Mhm.
because our regulations have non-conforming, but it doesn't mean that every town does. They may have different types of regulations when it comes to lot coverage. So. Yeah, because the last one we had, let's see.
See that?
Thank you.
Put it on the page, but. So this breaks it down to the,
So in what, in 1 acre, what is it? What's the coverage for an acre?
So 1 acre, well, it's actually 40,000 square feet.
Right.
So it's 10% is what's permitted right now, which is 4,000.
Right.
And then if you follow this table across, so the parcel size in acreage is actually 0.918 for 40,000 square feet. And then 10% of that would be 4,000, and then you can see it just goes up from there. So 11% would be 4,400, 12, 4,800, 13% would be 5,200, and so on, all the way up to 15%, which would be 6,000.
And what is the size of the non-conforming lots? What makes them non-conforming? Because they are what size?
Anything under 40,000 square feet.
Anything under 40,000 square feet is non-conforming
Yes.
in the entire town.
No, only in the R40 zone. So we're just talking about looking at coverage in the R40 zone.
So anything under 40,000, hence the R40, is non-conforming.
So, and I don't know if this is helpful for you, but this is the zoning map. So the R40 zone is in this light yellow. So you can see not every parcel is the same size.
Yeah.
So some are larger than 40,000 square feet and some are smaller. So the areas that are smaller are like Frederick Street,
Mhm.
off of Route 80, Edward,
Yeah, all
like
the
Sunset,
lines
this
are
area.
super closer.
Even off of 22, some of these parcels are under the 40,000 square feet. Where they are 40,000, just in comparison, is like Shantz, the Bridgewater Estates, just
Mhm.
so you can see the size. That's a new subdivision, so those all conform.
Yeah.
So just in comparison, I mean, these probably conform, they may be a little undersized.
Yeah.
Some of these are probably under.
Yeah, that's same,
Right,
that section also.
right.
So just to give you an idea what I meant by a sliding scale, and this is just kind of hypothetical. If you look at the, what Carrie just passed out, so if you look at, 0.7 and above, we could say that anything 0.7 and above would fall in 10%. So that would be, at 0.7 acres, it'd be, just a little over 3,000 square feet.
Mhm.
Then, let's say from 0.4 to 0.6, 0.69, somewhere around there, you go over, make that 11%.
Mhm.
And then from 0.1 to 0.39, it would be 12%. So you can
Mhm.
see how they never really overlap.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
ratio stays.
Now, we might, if we
similar.
wanna extend like the 0.1 acres out to 15%, then we could, again, like I said, it could be a very simple formula to put together.
Yeah, I like the gradual sloping idea, that way it seems fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think from 10 to 12%. Do you have the listing of how, with the percentage?
The majority was around that 12.
Right, there were a few, over 12, so 12 and a half, for variance, and that parcel was 0.4 of an acre, so less than a half.
Okay. Well,
There's only a couple that are over a half, I believe.
okay. So how if we did something like this, and this, again, is hypothetical. So anything from 0.7 and above, you would use 10%.
Mhm.
Anything from, let's call it, 0.45 and above, or whatever, goes to use 11%. And anything from 1% to that, 0.449, you would use 13%. That would kind of cover what's been out there.
Mhm.
So sorry, 10, 11, and then what was the next
10,
12?
11, and 13.
Okay.
Because by the numbers,
Yeah.
they would never kind of overlap.
I guess my question here also is, if I had a lot that was very small, I would nitpick. So So if I had a .455,
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that rounds to 5.
Well, we wouldn't nitpick, because that would be the size of the parcel, it'd go by square feet. I mean, we're using the parcel percentage, but we would use, I think that you said, Carrie, the last meeting you said the calculation would be square feet would be much easier? What would be
we can
easier for a town?
decide, yeah, so for instance, like instead of .459, like, we could just say 20,000 square feet.
Yeah.
So I would.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, yeah.
Well, and it's gonna happen, it happens now.
Right. But if
So,
somebody
you know,
wa-
for example, I was reviewing a zoning permit the other day, and, you know, they're at like just at 10%. Maybe, you know, again, we're realistic, but, you know, they wanna add on, they wanna replace deck. And it's like, are they expanding it just a little bit? Then, are they at 10.1, 10.3%, or even 11%?
Yeah, I think no matter what we do, we
Like,
nitpick. So people are gonna nitpick, which
you
is
know,
fine.
As long as it's not egregious.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we have, you know, ZBA, because so then if somebody is like on that borderline and they want to go to ZBA, they could do that. Again, we don't have to do this. We can just say, we could just turn it over to ZBA, but it was worth taking a look since there are.
Right, well,
you know,
most likely, right now, it will get denied at ZBA, because there's no hardship.
Well, yeah.
Right,
Well, these got approved, right?
yes.
Right. I just like to, we'd like to know what those hardships are, but.
Trying to make it a little easier with staying, you know, fair to people with bigger properties, but also helping people with smaller properties that might not necessarily be able to afford a bigger property, who just like, you know, wanna have kids and one extra room or something.
And it may,
So I think it's fair from all perspectives.
it may help property values too.
True, yep.
Carrie, another question.
Mhm.
Are there many 1 acre, standard building lots that are close to 4,000 square feet?
That's a good question.
What I'm saying is,
Not many, I would, that,
because.
general
we're-
statement, probably
Yeah,
not
we're
many.
bumping up everyone until you get to a standard, 40,000 square foot. And if you made it 11%, that's just a little more, therefore everyone gets an increase.
That's a good point too.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying, instead of having, so maybe 20,000 square feet and above would be 11%?
No, I think he's just saying,
Percent, and that way everyone gets an increase.
Well, that will affect the lots that are bigger than 40,000 square feet. So if somebody has, yeah, I mean, so somebody would get it, if they had 80,000 square feet, they can go up to 8,800.
yeah, because the goal of this is the non-conforming. That's what's driving this, so I'm also in support of, this applies to non-conforming.
Right, but I'm looking at it as, equity for everyone, in that if you purchase a smaller lot, you can increase the size of your building, as opposed to someone else who bought a standard lot, can only go to the current reg and that's it.
But
that's
that's
still-
fair,
but
because
that's
you
still
still, you
larger.
have the biggest building regardless.
Yeah, you still have the big, you'll still have nobody will surpass that. So 4,000 is what our regulations have been. Nobody with a smaller lot's gonna be able to go over 4,000.
Hence the gradual slope, to make sure nobody smaller gets a bigger coverage.
So what percentage are we actually shooting for here?
Okay, I'm just gonna write it down here, and you can, so, if you had from 0.1 acres to 0.4589 acres, it'd be 13%. If you did 0.4590 to 0.69, that would be 11%, and then 0.7 to 0.918 would be 10. And it's still, yeah, it's still, I think it's a pretty good scale. Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
Why do we have to do 0.45 versus just 0.4?
Well, that's just 20,000 acres.
Oh,
And a half
'cause-
acre,
20,000 square feet.
yeah,
Square feet.
yeah,
Okay, I
20,000
see.
square feet, so, I'm just using, I mean, we could change anyway, I mean, we could change it to, you know, besides the numbers a little bit, I'm just using what we have here.
Yeah, no, my bad, I
So-
get it now, because the 20 is just
Why
half
don't
of.
we, I would my recommendation is let Carrie take a stab to put this in together.
In
that
terms
we
of
can
the
take another
scale.
look at it.
Yeah.
Instead of, you know, I mean, we've been down this road a little bit, so at least that'll give some look at, but, you know, still look at it across the board. Do we, you know, there's, maybe we wanna make it even stretch out a little further. So take a look at this chart and, you know, maybe we do something 0.8 and above, and 0.6 to 0.9,
Yeah.
and point, you know what I mean? So we can take a look at that, and kind of continue, kind of massage those numbers a little bit.
Harry, did you want to take a look into, with that language, possibly looking into the shed issue, or possibly adjusting that layer down in other business?
Yeah, we can
I
do
didn't know
that,
if
because
you
that would be a
wanted that.
separate text amendment. That would have to be a separate text amendment as well. But we can discuss it.
Would that be in addition to that, and then also including what covers as lot
We
coverage?
wouldn't, we couldn't include it on
You
this
couldn't
one.
include it on this
No,
one,
this one's
actually.
just, because this one was just advertised as the,
Coverage.
yeah, the coverage. So if we want to make adjustments to the definitions of coverage, then we would do a separate one. But,
Okay.
yeah, that's something we can discuss for you a little time tonight.
So what did we say again? Just, now I'm circling. 0.7 and above was staying at the 10%.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then we did point.
459.
Throwing out to 6, we did at 11?
To 0.69 would be 11. And then 0.7 to 0.918 would be 10.
And then the 0.1 to 0.4.
589 is 13. Yeah. Yeah, we can, again, keep a look at this, take a look at this chart, next time we come back.
Yeah,
We'll take a look at what we have in there, and if we wanna
And I'll
massage
look
it.
at using either the size in acreage or square feet.
Right.
You know, so maybe just to use whole numbers.
Yeah.
To say, you know, 20,000, like 30,500 and greater is 10%, 20,000 square feet and lower is 11, or, you know, between 20,000 and then we'll have to see what that is. Maybe it's 13,000 and then, or 14, I don't know, I'll look at the numbers.
Ron did have
I
ask a
was gonna
question
just say
that I
Ron
didn't have
had
an
a
answer to.
question.
Does other towns have non-conforming kind of standards for properties?
What do you mean by non-conforming?
Well, what we have here, so, do they have?
Other towns have a higher percentage.
Okay.
So, I don't know, other towns. That's interesting. Let me look at these. So Killingworth. In rural residents, they're 10% for maximum lot coverage. So they are the same.
Right.
East Haven, they have a lot of different, you
Yep.
know, zones, obviously, similar to us. Let me just see. Maximum lot coverage, so theirs ranges, again, R1, R2, I would assume are residential, so
Right.
25, 20, 15. So 15 is their lowest in a residential zone in East Haven. So they don't seem to call out
Right.
certain sizes, like non-conforming, I guess is what the question. Branford. Lot coverage is 25% and then 15% in the R5 zone, so 15 is their lowest.
Okay.
And, sorry, North Haven.
Sorry.
Building coverage in residential is 15, 20, and 25.
Does it tell you the sizes?
No, just in those different zones. So in a 40,000 square foot, like what we have, it's 15. And then they have a 20,000 square foot zone, that's 20%. And an R12, which is the minimum lot area is 12,000, it's 25%.
All right.
Wow.
All right, so we're on the right track then.
Yeah, that is
We're on the right track. So, anybody from the
Helpful.
public like to speak on this, for this public hearing? Application 2019-7? Seeing none, then we will,
Or just continue
yeah, somebody like to make a motion to continue it to when's the next meeting?
it? November 7th, I believe.
November 7th, okay. Alex?
I would like to make a motion to continue application 2019-7 to the next meeting on November 7th.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
No, seeing none opposed, that passes 4-0. All right, we'll take care of that. So basically, we have other business. The first one is discuss regarding permitting the sale of ice cream at Tuckett Tree Farm.
Yes, so, I printed out an aerial view, and the owners of Tuckett Tree Farm are here, to just talk about the concept. So this is zoned residential, it's located on Mill Road, and the concept was being able to sell ice cream on the farm, so again, to kind of diversify the use of the farm, extend the season. So right now, they're just selling Christmas trees, and I'll let them kind of go into the detail, but in my conversations with Jess, sounds like they'd like to have an ice cream stand. The question is, with a residential zone, how that kind of fits in, and it seemed to kind of dovetail in with some of our event discussion or activities on farms, agritourism, but I just wanted to have an open discussion.
So is this
with
gonna
them.
be a creamery that's using Connecticut products,
Yep.
or?
Well, why don't you, if you wanna come up and state your name and give us, you can start discussion.
My name is Jessica Cave, this is my husband Mel. We own Tuckett Tree Farm on 65 Mill Road, and the idea is to take an existing structure that we have and take it down and rebuild a walk-up ice cream shop. It would also house our Christmas tree little shop register, and then like a little area for some of our tractors. We want it to be Connecticut as much as possible. We'd really like to use all the farms in town. We love how everybody's so connected. We'd like to, sorry, I'm excited. So it would be seasonally from April to October. Go ahead.
We're looking for 7 days a week from noon to 9.
So what, besides the ice cream, you said there was a couple other things you're gonna be doing too in there?
Okay, so
what-
right now for our Christmas tree farm, we just have a stand outside. So when it's snowy or rainy out, it makes it a little difficult. So we'd like to have a small little gifty area where we can have some ornaments and other things and a register to sell in that same building.
And that'll be year round? 'Cause
No, that
So-
would only be during the Christmas tree selling season.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So you would have the ice cream from from April to October,
Mhm.
and then from, people start buying Christmas trees in June now, but sales.
We open day after Thanksgiving, so November to
Oh,
December.
come on, everybody's got them already up in their house by
I
then.
know, we get calls.
Have you been to Home Depot?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that from November to, Christmas, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
So which structure, what do you have for structure currently on the property?
There's a 4-barn stall on the property. We're looking to just.
And then you're gonna take one of them down?
Come again?
You're gonna take one down and then rebuild it into more of a, store?
Yeah, it would basically look like another barn, and then the service windows for the ice cream shop would be on the back side of the building.
Okay.
So there'd be really nothing seen from the road.
So would it be just outside serve, like some picnic tables, or we have the ability, if the weather's kinda yucky, that people come inside?
No, just
So
outside.
strictly outside?
Strictly outside, yep.
Alex, you asked a question early on?
Yeah, the creamery, is it, well, mainly to make ice cream and everything, I'm assuming you wanna source Connecticut ingredients, cause I'm not seeing, or you guys don't have any livestock to produce.
Right,
the
so we
cream
probably
for
go
us.
with Gaidas for the mix, the cream and all that stuff. And local farms, you know, if we can get DeFrancisco's for strawberries and things like that, we'd really like to do it as much as local as possible, you know. I talked to Gail for the McMillan from the Potato Fest and said, maybe we could do a corn ice cream for Potato Fest, and, you know, try to incorporate all the little things that we have around here.
Have you guys, or Carrie, have you explored anything with the local health department on, doing anything like with, like, the creamery, or I guess this fall with, like the cheeseries too, on functionability, or nothing yet?
No, nothing at this point. So I think the bigger question right now is that they're operating under, obviously, farming, which is permitted in any zone, along with their farm stand, so any products that they, you know, the wreaths, anything that they sell that's connected to the tree farm, it falls under that, you know, farm stand, which is permitted, and anything that's grown or produced on the premises. The challenge comes in is that with the ice cream, there's obviously no cows on the property. So, and this happens in a lot of towns. I went to a meeting last week about agritourism and how a lot of towns are looking at that as a great use and a way to, again, extend the season. It's just a challenge of, you don't want the farm to fail and then you're left with an ice cream stand in a residential zone. And dealing with that traffic and,
Mhm.
so then you have a business in a residential zone. When it's connected with a farm, it's different because it's supporting the farm, it's supporting other farms.
Have other towns done it where it's regardless if it's a success or down the road, the property sales, the farm has to stay the farm, if it changes, then that entity can't exist anymore? Have any towns explored that option, so that way it remains agritourism, and then, so that grandfather in type thing doesn't happen?
They've looked at where a percentage of the operations, like 51% of the operations have to be farming related or farming, so that it doesn't become more of an ice cream or more of a, because you could, you know, one person at this meeting that I went to had this argument of, well, why not just have a hardware store on a farm, because there's no direct connection, so you could have, you know, a convenience store in the middle of a farm, but if you have more of the sales going towards that than the farm, then that becomes an issue. And I think it's a great idea and it's important, and we see it in town already because there are farms that sell ice cream, but they're zoned differently, so they're zoned industrial, this is zoned residential. So I don't think that it's a bad fit, I think we have to figure out how the regulations could work to ensure that the retail component doesn't overtake the farming, just to protect the town and the abutting residents.
So what are we potentially being asked of, to create a regulation, to change a regulation?
So we don't have a regulation right now that this would fit in that this would fit in.
Right, so we have to create a.
So I think we would
text
have to
group.
create something.
Yeah, just like we did for the wineries, the breweries, this, we'd have to, come up with something, if this is something we wanted to take on, like any opportunity, any opportunity that you have, or that anybody in the town has, we'd like to hear it and see what we can do with it.
So Harry, is there, or Carrie, is there any state legislation that goes into creameries on farms and stuff like that? Cause I know that is the guidelines that, our town usually looks for first to then do future text amendments.
Not that I know of, no.
There's nothing.
But there's agritourism, there's zoning regulations regarding agritourism that are out there that we can easily look at and look to adopt. You know, just looking at our use chart, we have under, so this is 6.1, which is stands for display and sale of farm, truck, garden, forestry, and nursery produce grown on the premises. And then that's right under that is the farm winery, and then farm brewery, and then we had farm outdoor events. So I could imagine even the next one would be farm, maybe we just have it very broad, like agritourism.
Yeah.
And maybe, I know later on in the agenda, we also are talking about events on farms. I know we have the farm outdoor events. This isn't an event, it's
Right.
it's more agritourism.
So let me ask a question.
That's general,
Yes.
like, because I wouldn't, like, if you started having hay rides, I wouldn't think that that's a far stretch from the connection to the farm, because
Mhm.
it's like
I agree.
you could argue it's like a tour of the farm, it's a,
Mhm.
or the pick your own, or any of those things. So I don't think we need agritourism to that level, or where, you know, you need a permit to have a hay maze or something like
Right.
that. But when you start having the retail component where people might just come only for the the product that's not produced on the farm, that's where it's a little bit farther from the farming.
I agree, and I kind of agree with that person's point where you put a hardware store on it.
Yeah.
So I think if we proceed, it has to be in an extremely thoughtful way, because that is the slippery slope of this.
So retail is not allowed in residential, so we just hypothetically, let's say we did put something together and it worked out. Would there be any downstream implications on just regular residential use that isn't a farm? Where, like from the law side, I mean, I would, maybe whoever, Barbara, whoever it may be, that we take a look to make sure, because, you know, somebody says, well, I wanna start doing this on my property, I wanna run this
Mhm.
business here now. You know,
Right.
I wanna, you know, so we will take a look at this.
So I think, just to answer that question, I think that the regulations, similar to the winery and the brewery regulations and the farm outdoor events that we have in the industrial zone, there has to be a certain amount of acreage
Perfect, yep.
set aside that's used for farming. And then, you know, so that prevents someone who, say I own an acre of land with just a single family structure on it, from saying, I wanna open up an ice cream stand. So you would need an operating farm and maybe a certain amount of acres. And then similar to the outdoor events, the regulation may say something like, the ice cream stand would have to be so many feet from the property line, so many feet from the nearest structure, the parking would have to be so many feet from the nearest structure, just to protect the neighbors and noise and parking and lighting.
And just so I understand where this property is, if I was going down Mill Road, you're past the lacrosse fields?
Right next to it.
Yeah, okay, all right, yep.
And what
Yeah.
are the hours of operation when you're doing just for the Christmas trees?
So weekends, Saturdays, I think we do 8:30 to 7 or 8. Sundays till, I think, 6, and then weeknights we do 5 to 9.
Hey, let's mull this one over,
Yeah.
you know, because it's a little more, there's some complexities into it. So let us, take a look and we'll discuss it maybe at the next meeting. We'll see what we'll do some little research to see what we can do on that. You know, it's an opportunity, and we like to hear about opportunities and see what we can do within our guidelines, and so.
How much land do you actually have?
4.67 acres.
And of course, this is not a full-time farm. It
No,
doesn't pay the mortgage.
Yeah,
No.
the trees don't generate enough revenue, so we're
Exactly.
actually looking to try and offset that.
Yeah, we gotta discuss this. I think it goes more to tourism than,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be transparent. I'm nervous about it, because again, when people buy in a town next to farms, they wanna stay next to farms. They don't wanna be next to a business, so
Yeah,
I'm,
you gotta be careful.
I'm gonna be cautious.
Yeah.
but on the same token, to counter you, the thought of hot cocoa and a ginger snap cookie at Christmas time with a tree,
Oh, well, that.
Well, that's
no,
fine.
No,
That I think-
that's accepted,
They
yeah,
wanna
that's not a problem.
supplement the tree business with
Yeah.
another not
Yeah.
that,
Yes,
maybe
yeah,
other
yes.
people, but
Right,
that's
well,
different,
and
that's
I
so
think-
different.
I think that is different because people aren't going to pull off the road
For
for a
hot
cup
chocolate.
of hot chocolate, right? And
Right.
unless
They're paying
maybe
off for
by
the
chance
tree.
they don't find a tree there, they may walk, but
Correct.
they're not going to, but whereas they would stop just for ice cream.
Ice cream.
That's not front chalk.
You have another customer.
Fabulous. Yeah, I mean, just a quick to speak to the noise, from our yard, we can hear the sportsplex, like, it's right there, and it's same thing with the field. So it's already, to me, a noisy area, and I don't know how much, we wouldn't be open, late, so wouldn't, hopefully.
We just always
annoy
remind people
anybody.
too, is, when the people come in front of us, of course, there's integrity and there's your vision of it, but what if you sell it down the road and then somebody else comes in and under whatever might happen is like, yeah, no, we actually want something even more legit or more noisy or more disruptive. So it's always not just thinking about you guys, but this impacts the entire town for the future. So that's why we're in a very thoughtful committee, because it's nothing against who's in front of us, that's where our mind is entire town, everybody, future 10s, 20s, decades down. So that's why it's a really
Yeah.
thoughtful process.
I mean, we wanna make sure that, our farmers are in, properties like this are sustainable.
Correct.
But also we have to, one thing to consider, it is zone residential,
Yeah.
and so now, if somehow we were able to do this, I would want thousands and thousands of cars to show up, so your business is very, very successful, then they go up the road to one of the wineries, the
Mhm.
breweries, wherever it might be, stop at some of our restaurants, that'd be awesome. But the only thing is, 1,000 cars, and again, that would never happen. But in a residential area like Mill Road, that's why we gotta be very cautious when we do this, because as Trish mentioned, it affects different, the entire community and the properties there. So we'll take a look around, we'll see what we can come up with, so, yeah. Well, thank you for
Thank you.
bringing the opportunity to us.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot.
Thanks, Mark.
All right. All right. One opportunity after another. We have a discussion, possible rezoning of 465 Foxen Road.
Okay, so this is, I'm just passing out a map so they can see. So this is where Duty's Restaurant is, which is also zoned residential currently.
Yes, hello, I'm John Duty, 1291 Middletown Avenue, and just an informal discussion about, property development at 465. It's a lot, it's zoned residential, and talking with Roger from Economic Development, he was, he wants development. We're discussing like something special, like a boutique motel or something along that line, maybe change zoning to business so we could proceed. Nothing like a strip mall, because North Branford has enough strip malls, no gas stations, enough of those. Unique.
So maybe like an office complex, or like an inn, roughly like a bed and breakfast is, or?
Yeah, or something,
Yeah.
yes, small. It's a small lot,
Yeah.
3 acres or so.
Well, I think it falls into our POCD with, Route 80.
Mhm.
From,
Mhm.
not necessarily the current, well, I'm using the one that's
Oh,
already
the
been-
old one,
the
yeah.
old one, but I think in the new one, so the Route 80 corridor is trying to,
Extends
I
past
don't wanna
telephone
use
and
maximum, maximize might not be the word, but, to pull out the best of it and zone it accordingly to, because part of it is, you know, some residential, there's some business.
Is
there's
there any
industrial.
business around here though?
You could say.
Well, there's a couple, so well, you have duties.
Zone business.
Yeah, so you
No,
have.
no, zone business.
I
and
believe
here,
there,
look at the chart here.
I believe there is a couple, isn't there one office building that's down the
So
way
it
from there?
doesn't become zone business until,
Jerome Harrison?
actually right in front of Jerome Harrison.
On the corner?
Yep, so the front part, so this is the parcel that we're talking about, this large rectangle. And then the field, actually, the corner field at Jerome Harrison is zoned, that's zoned, business, and then Merrick, and then that's Pacilio's, and then the gas station, and then it is zoned business. There's obviously a house, and that's the interior lot here, that's this is all zone residential, but there's a house here. This is interior design,
Yep, yep.
so that's a business. They received a special use permit, through historic conversion, so that's fully business. I'm forgetting if they received approval for an apartment upstairs.
Where's
I don't
that?
believe so. At,
Total interiors.
Total interiors,
Yeah.
sorry, thank you.
So the parcel that's from the parking lot,
To the eastern side?
yeah, to the eastern side, do you know how large that parcel is?
I think it's like 3 acres.
So the whole thing, what does that say, Trish, in the red, I think?
Well, it must be.
Carrie, is it
much
just
more than
residential,
4.5.
or is it residential and it has?
4.14.
farm status?
Yeah.
Oh, the whole piece
It
is
doesn't have
4.14.
farm status.
No farm status.
Well, farm status being, so in order to be considered a farm, you have to have, 160,000 square feet. So just around 4 acres. But because the restaurant is there,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that's a farm.
Yeah. Well, no, I was just curious, cause before tonight, we didn't know what you guys wanted to or whatnot for the changing of the zone. I didn't know if there's anything that they could do with it, or if there's anything without the zone change, or does zone change justify what they wanna do with it?
So right now, being zone residential, the only option really is to subdivide, so carve off a 40,000 square foot lot or larger and do residential. Because they couldn't do business, they couldn't build business, they couldn't expand the restaurant because that would be expanding and non-conforming.
My
But
reaction is, I know we're doing a lot of zone changes, but why can't this be rezoned industrial? Why can't this be rezoned? But, and that's, again, I feel like with rezoning, we've created slippery slope, and
Well, on
I don't
Route
know
80
how
On
to-
Route 80, it is, that's part of the POCD is to take a look at that and make that corridor.
I know, but this corridor, though, there is no business zone. Would that fall under
Correct.
spot zoning then, and?
So the only way that I would recommend that this be rezoned is if that lot was subdivided, so you have 2 parcels that you're rezoning, and also rezone total interiors. So then you're making those uses more conforming, because right now you have a business use and a residential zone, so it's a non-conforming use. And then I think, I would just encourage you, like Harry's saying, sorry, real quick, just to think about the long-term plan for Route 80, of what you envision there.
And I agree with you, Trish, we don't want, throughout North Branford, there's residential, business, and industrial that are intertwined, just because the way the town came together way
Mhm.
back whenever, and regulations, didn't start until the 50s, and
Yeah.
really,
Mhm.
I mean, the real regulations
61 was
until.
subdivided, 61.
61, and then in the 70s, we had a lot of regulations.
Mhm.
So, Ron saw them all.
No, I just raised, again, I just want to be recognized.
Yeah.
John, how long has the duties been there?
1934.
Yeah. So.
You were the first patron.
I tied my horse up in front.
There you go.
So,
They didn't have wagons then either.
wouldn't the whole Route 80 probably wasn't even paved back then?
I'm not sure.
Route 80 was probably what, like horseway,
That was a highway back then.
was it?
Horse
Yeah,
highway.
right.
When I was a kid, it was concrete.
Yes.
I don't know when they
I
started
remember
that.
Anyway, so the restaurant bar is grandfathered in,
Right,
and it's one piece of property.
correct.
So why can't,
That's what Kerry's gonna recommend.
why can't he expand it, or,
Because
Do
it's
whatever.
zoned residential
right, but he's grandfathered in.
for the current use and current
Yeah.
size.
You have to have a hardship.
So
to
same thing
expand
happened,
it.
so Ron, same thing happened in one of the other restaurants that came into town. So they wanted to build a restaurant and they wanted to make it larger, I believe, and I can't recall the whole thing. But they couldn't because it had to be on the footprint that was already there. So that's the non-conforming,
But
use.
wasn't that a new entity coming in using an old place, or is this old existing place?
No, that was somebody who came in that purchased a building to put the restaurant in there and wanted to expand, but they couldn't, you can't expand on the existing footprint because it was not conforming.
Yeah, but this business has been existing there, I think that's what Ron's trying to say, it has been there for.
Right, but the footprint can't change, doesn't matter if it's been there. That's what it's the same thing there, that,
It's there.
yeah, that was grandfathered in, so you can keep that, doing that use on that footprint, you just can't expand, so. So what Kerry's recommending is that if anything, would be to subdivide it and then make each one be one, or be one?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and then, once we do that, make it a business, then he can change, if he wanted to expand, so
Mhm.
once you do that, then you can expand. Right now, in the residential, because it's not a use permitted there, you can't expand it. So that would be, that would help, if Judy's wanted it to, expand a little bit, that gives them some options.
Have you-
John, do you guys have any plans for, if we did the zone change, for any expansions or any modifications, or are you just going for this first, and then if we do that, then that's
No
down the road?
plans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Footprint's pretty good.
Okay.
But as far as the corridor, because it is residential, so if we did something like that, we would have to look at any impacts.
Oh, I'll be
Yeah,
transparent,
yeah.
I'm struggling with it
Yeah.
because this section
Right.
is so residential and who's, throughout the town, what,
It's on the strip for the POCD that we've, just up the street, not even like a mile or two, I think we've done rezoning plans to go with our POCD.
but that
for
was,
the business
that was surrounded
aspect.
by more business.
Yeah.
I'm just struggling with this because this chunk is clearly mostly residential and.
Right.
So you can say, yeah, we're gonna do this in the sake of the POCD, but yet this is clearly residential and at what
Yeah.
point do we stop changing zones?
It's also on a state road, though.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's my, at what point do we stop changing zones?
So I think the zone changes that we've been looking at are, excuse me, are
Like,
trying
what
to bring
change their zone to,
non-conforming. So I think the zone changes that we've been looking at though are trying to bring non-conforming uses into conformity. So like,
Comprehend that, but this is still so heavy.
right.
Yeah,
right.
that's something we would have to look
So I
at,
think
yeah,
another,
that's
I
something,
mean,
we'd have
another
to look at that.
thought,
So I need a lot more input.
just to back up and not go right to a zone change, what do you kind of envision for that open piece? Like, have you thought about it at all? Is it,
Not very much.
okay,
I was just talking with Roger,
yep.
you know.
Because another thought is to have more residential, but a totally different design, and have a denser type of, like a townhouse style design there.
There's
So
no
keep
other
the
options
zoning-
besides a zone change?
No, this
No, they
wouldn't
could
be a
carve-
zone change,
they-
I'm just saying.
They could carve it out and put houses there, but again, that's not, like, the whole Route 80 corridor and the PLCD is to look at areas and rezone them to, one, as Carrie mentioned, come into conformity, which part of this is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, maximize the usage instead of, so, like on Route 80.
And I don't think that just needs to be a blanket thing we do throughout the.
No, we
entire
don't. That's
The
what I
thing
was
is,
looking at, but you.
This is a business, this is a business. It's creeping along Route 80. Now, Route 80 is a state road. Commercial property brings in more tax revenue. It's a state road. It goes along with the economic development. So we're gonna throw those plans out the window?
No, but
So,
this one
this
thing is
is
not throwing
commer-
those plans
yeah,
out the window,
This
it's
is
just we
commercial, that's
could
commercial.
Right.
say, you know what, it's a very delicate balance
Right.
that
It is, but.
we have to strike, and we can't just say, oh, just because they're on their own Route 80, these people have to
No,
deal
no,
with
but we
whatever
wanna-
people
we-
want to
see,
do.
but what it is when you have, if we want to, you know, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, if you look at that, if somebody wants to develop it, what is best interest, if the owner says, we're willing to do something there, okay, let's see, what would be the best, opportunity for the town? Would you think subdividing and putting some kind of housing there on the 3 acres, which you can only put a couple houses on there or whatever it might be, and it's on Route 80? Or maybe there's a, other option where it's not, you know, because it's close to residential, maybe a small building with some offices in there that would have a dentist, a doctor, or something like that, that's not invasive, to the area. Now, I'm not saying you're gonna put in a logging manufacturing place and make it, you know, industrial, so right next to houses, but maybe there's something that has a limited impact that can be used for, that can drive tax dollars here, and the owners of the property also have an opportunity. So, I mean, I agree with you, we gotta walk a
Because
fine
sometimes the
line.
best interest of the town is the best interest of the people being impacted.
Right.
And we can't just say,
No, you're
we
right,
follow
100%.
POCD,
No, it has to
forget
be-
all the best interests of the people as well in certain
You
areas. So
wouldn't
that's why
want-
I'll just
Yeah, you wouldn't
be
want,
transparent, I'm struggling with that
Yeah, right,
there.
you wouldn't, I know, but you wouldn't want a McDonald's there, but if you had, that's open 24 hours, but if you had an office building that's under B1, that had,
What are the, yeah.
if you had an office, if you had like a small
A
office
retail
building,
office.
a retail business that's open to 7, 8 o'clock at night, they had maybe some apartments upstairs, mixed use, that would be the best use for a property like that. Not a McDonald's or a Dunkin' Donuts. Now that, I 100% agree with you. Anything that's around the clock kind of usage over there, because you do have some neighbors, but there is some, you know, it depends where something fell in. But it is residential, I agree 100% with you. But there may be something,
I agree with that,
there
yeah.
may be something that could go in there, and you know, so I think we should at least explore the opportunity.
100%, but
I-
just
yeah.
cautiously as well.
Yeah, we should definitely explore the opportunity. I mean,
Maybe
we-
having more plans of what the end.
yeah,
development.
we'll take a look at this, and I mean, if you're gonna, if you work with Roger and you know, your family or whatever, to see what kind of interest would spark to that property, we can continue that discussion, which I think we should. I mean,
Right.
you know, I'm glad that you and Roger, because that's where economic development, and it's been good
Yeah.
for us. And hopefully helping you as well, you know, with Roger's assistance. But maybe if we can get some, you know, as a plan starts to come together, we would definitely want to hear more, for
Right.
sure. Yeah, we are more than open to take a look at some opportunities.
Yeah, I don't have any plans
Yeah,
for
no,
anything. I just
we
wanted
expect that.
your feedback.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, always opportunity, but
Yeah.
in a way that
a bed
really
and
supports the
breakfast,
entire area.
You know, some, you know, limited impact type businesses, yeah,
Exactly.
may be a good
Yeah.
fit for that, so. But no, thank you.
So you're open to something?
Oh, absolutely.
That's all I wanted to know.
Yeah, we're always open. We're open 24/7.
I don't know about that.
No, Ron, anytime after 8 o'clock at night, call Ron.
Okay. Yeah, because Roger, you know, wants to,
Yeah,
like you said,
yeah.
development.
Absolutely. So, yeah, we'll be more than open to, yeah, perfect.
A good fit.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
All right, you too. All right. Oh, we're not gonna discuss anymore tonight. Oh,
I was curious.
oh, okay, good.
So for
Yeah.
the one of those for the farm events discussion?
Yeah,
We're quite entertaining.
Yeah, we're open for business, let's put it that way. The town of North Branford is open for business. Okay, now the discussion regarding the farm events regulations for residential zones.
I'm getting hammered tonight with the
So,
residential.
once again, well, we will definitely keep on discussing this, because I like Bill's input too. He has been here the last couple meetings, but you can,
Yeah, I don't know if we wanna continue this for when Bill's here, but, you know, I haven't done much with this, but I have your notes
I can tell it's all capitals.
from long ago. So I guess I wanted some more direction from all of you as far as how to bring this about. Maybe we look at the regulation that was approved, that Van Wilgens had proposed,
Mhm.
and then try and tweak that, or do you wanna work with what had been proposed by Andy Bizzuto over a year ago, which is very similar?
There's been a lot of renditions that we've seen this over the past few
Yes.
years,
Yes.
and a lot of interpretations on it.
So, I mean, I'll just, some of the notes that I wrote, so, in these, no particular order, I wrote down live music, amplified DJs, et cetera, must be in a permanent structure.
Yeah,
That's,
right.
and the permanent structure must be on site. Anytime you talk about amplified music, if you wanted to do outdoor, we'd have to take a look at the setbacks, you know, so like at some of the setbacks we had were a couple 100 feet, 500, or 50 feet, 100 feet, Van Wilden's.
I think
What was Van Wilden's,
find it.
50 or 100? But there, so that's industrial.
So it's 300,
Very far.
so 350 feet, and that was for buildings, permanent structures, tents, temporary bathroom
Okay.
facilities. It's 350 feet.
Maybe we
And
go.
250 feet from any property boundary.
Yeah, so maybe we do something, if somebody has a larger farm or whatever, like a parcel, and they wanna do that, we should be able to say, we wanna make it as least invasive to the residents, no matter if it's in, the indoor structure or however that goes, again, this is hypothetical. It might be 1,000 feet from, from any property line or property or structure, so.
I thought also too, I think this is something like Bill and I mentioned, that possible like a sound study, so that way it's looking at the particular applicant's land, because the
Yep.
topography can easily
Yeah,
change
changes
that,
it. It's
whether
no
it
point.
amplifies it or if it muffles it, depending on the hillside, how it's placed.
So we can ask, first of all, we would definitely make this a public hearing, and one of the requirements, like we do with traffic studies, would be a sound study, and might be, I don't know how they figure out their sound, but we would have to
You
make
just
sure.
have a
it's-
acoustical engineer go out, or they do a study on the parcel, they look at the topography map, and they can easily, just from the map, and then going out there with their
They can
devices.
figure it out?
It's simple.
Yeah.
Simple to you, maybe.
Well, I
That's what
had
saying.
it done for my particular farm, and
Yeah.
it's no different than having a traffic study done. You have
Yeah.
professionals go out, the
Mhm.
professionals do it, and it's just a fact that then gets brought in front of the committee or any committees on any application.
Yeah, so one of the things, and this was early on before we got into some of the others, but I just had for outdoor event hours, meaning outdoors, not indoors, but outdoors, if they wanna do it outdoors. I had it from 2 to 9 on Friday, from 2 to 7 on Saturday, and 2 to 7 on Sunday. But again, I was just throwing some numbers down, those can all change, or whatever.
Yeah, as usual, especially with this, it's of course, I'll beat a dead horse, of course support the farms, but again, people didn't move into next to a farm
Right.
for it to become a business. So this is gonna be just like the other two, be super cautious and careful with protecting the residents around it.
And I can reach out to the Farm Bureau to see if they could provide some guidance and help.
They have a
Um,
lot of paperwork on this.
Yes,
Was it Farm Bureau for the state?
for the state.
Or, oh,
Well,
okay.
yeah, so Connecticut Farm Bureau is the Connecticut branch, and then Farm Bureau is a national organization
Oh,
as
okay.
well.
So Trish, some of the concerns are like, this would be, if somebody had 2 or 3 acres, or 4
Yeah,
acres, this
that's too
is
small,
like a
it's not-
non-fit.
Yeah.
And so originally, I think it was like 10 or 12 acres or something like that, so there's plenty of room, we wanna make sure there's plenty of room so we can move, to keep it away from the residential, And again, I mean, I.
Try not to be invasive or anything
Yeah,
like
and
that.
I mean, I'm saying if they want loud music and stuff, it should be indoors.
Yeah.
You wanna get married, I mean, I'm just gonna hype it, somebody wants to have it, wants to get married outside and stuff, and then move the reception
Mhm.
inside. All, you know,
Agreed,
I mean,
'cause the
that's-
noise.
it- Yeah, if you wanna do it outdoors, you know, like, there's all that background noise, people talking, stuff like that, you hear all that. If it's far enough away and it's suitable, so somebody can do that, doesn't infringe on somebody's quality of life, all on board with that as well.
And of course, like Trish, how you mentioned earlier, how you gotta take into account the whole town.
Yeah.
But also
Mhm.
too, once, whatever happens with this, then when the farmers come in and they do their applications, you're gonna look at the particular farm and see, okay, what best fits for that property.
Yeah, maybe for the next meeting, Trish, Carrie, can we just identify how many, over 10 acres? Cause that was the magic number, I believe, right, on this somewhere?
Yeah,
That we
one of our
talked about?
initial go-arounds was 10.
Identify farms
Industrial is 10.
larger than 10 acres?
Right.
Text amendment for industrial has 10 in it.
I thought this, when we first started it, was a minimum of 10 as well. I don't know
Well, I
about
think 10 is for the vineyards and breweries,
I
I
think
think
we
that's,
did- I think we
but I
did-
think that's an
Yes.
industrial one too.
Is it 10?
10 is for brewery and winery,
Yeah.
and then it was 20 for
That's right, for industrial.
industrial, for the farm outdoor events.
Yeah, that's just, I'm always gonna be the stickler for proceeding cautiously, so it's the least
Yeah.
impact to the surrounding
Right.
people.
In limited hours.
Yeah, all of that, limited hours, limited days.
Yeah, the limited, so we would, you know, I think on somewhere,
So-
like Van Wilgen's.
Are we
Limited
talking
number of
industrial?
events.
So the outdoor
Per
events
month.
that was approved, it was 9 AM and 8 PM, Sunday through Thursday, and 9 to 10, Friday and Saturday.
Right.
But that was Van Wilgen's industrial,
Industrial.
big property.
Industrial zone.
This
Yeah,
20
but
acres.
also, they're not doing it every night, so.
That's the thing too,
yeah.
limited number.
So we would wanna plan,
Which was approved, would be
Right.
approved. They still have to come before us for that, which I
Right.
reminded them.
so we would do the same thing, there would be, like in May, I think it is, they would put down
Mhm.
their
Yep.
events,
Mhm.
and we could, you know, we would follow the same thing, they would provide the plan and the second hearing, or no, I'm sorry, the site plan part of it, is that a public hearing too, site plan?
Well, it was a
Actually,
special, it would be a special use permit,
Right.
so that's a public hearing, but the site plan would be submitted as part of it, and then
Yeah.
they would include their list of events
Right.
as part of that.
Mhm.
Their annual event operational
So
plan.
something like that would definitely need to be included in this as well.
So they
Correct.
initially submit that, but then annually they just submit it to the zoning enforcement officer. So they wouldn't submit it to the board every year.
So now, would this be different compared to if a farmer wanted to just do like one event or one occasion for the year type thing? 'Cause right now, the town already has something like that existing. If they come in like for like a day or like a weekend type thing, they wanna do something, they come pull the permit for like for the tents and stuff like that. I
don't think you
currently
need to.
believe.
No.
Well, that's like, yeah, that's just,
Like
a-
no
that's a,
tenants
that's a
stuff.
zoning building, like, not a use, it's more like a structural tent
Having a
permit,
tent,
if it's a
yeah.
one-day thing.
I think that falls into that right now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah, the building official has a tent for temporary structures.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Of-
I
yeah.
think that's the only thing that
So
right
that
now
would be,
covers.
so if your cousin got married, wanted to get married, you wouldn't need to come under here, under a farm event.
Yeah.
And get, you know what I mean?
Because it's your
If-
property, yeah.
Once you start, once it becomes kind of a business,
yeah.
Well, once you're making money off of it, then it's
once it becomes more than
Exactly.
once, you know what I mean? Unless you've got a huge family that's getting married every week. But the goal would be is to, you know, if somebody wants to run a type of business like that, then they would fall underneath it, but, I mean, my neighbor got married in their backyard. I mean,
a lot of people are doing that
I mean,
now.
yeah,
It's you
that's-
save
that's-
money and
yeah.
it's yeah.
so if somebody wanted to do that on your farm,
The
same
tent
thing.
costs more in the caterer than renting a hall. Close quote, 4 times.
No.
Four
Speaking
Oh,
from
okay.
experience.
Yes,
Okay.
right.
4 daughters.
Well,
I've done the research.
He knows what
Seventeen,
he's
for
talking about.
$17 per person, you can rent a trailer that has, it's a fully stocked bar. And they provide the bartender and the booth, $17 a person.
Tent, tables, plates, forks.
He's got a little
You make it,
post-traumatic
you
stress
make it
from it.
environmentally friendly, tell everybody to bring a plate from their house with their own silverware.
Bad idea.
Alright, so we'll continue this.
Yes.
discussion.
After you've done your 4, let me know how it goes, cause I got 3 that I'm hopefully, will take their time. So, but, there.
The next thing, we don't have to do anything on this tonight, but it's, the POCD is effective tomorrow, which is exciting.
Oh, wow.
So now we just need to find the money to print copies for everyone, maybe for the November meeting. But probably realistically not until January. I'd like to, maybe the second meeting in January, look at the table and start to identify some of the goals and objectives and figure out which item we'd like to start with.
And you mentioned that he's gonna give that to us in a spreadsheet form?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
So we can sort it based on who the lead entity is.
Yeah.
Cause I noticed in our last plan, the start of this past summer, some of the plans were just being done.
Mm-hmm.
They're just taking action on it.
Right.
And some of them are still just, it gets passed to the next plan.
Right. A lot of them, I was at a conference today actually about planning in Springfield, and I was talking with someone about the plan, and it is just like a lofty goal. You know, you want action items, but if we don't complete everything within the next 10 years, that's okay. And I think the other thing that we should talk about is having a check-in after 5 years to
Yeah.
see where we are, so that we stay on top of it. And Harry, you would recommend that even having the subcommittees still meet, maybe even like twice a year or something
Yeah.
to check in.
Well, I feel like in several of the versions I read, the plan is in the title, but the concept of it is it's a vision
Yes.
and a guide,
Right.
not necessarily something that we have to tick off every single thing, cause some
Right.
of them is just, it would be nice, but maybe not possible.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like, in the last one, Ryan, were you there for the last one? I think I'm the only one left from 10 years ago.
Wasn't Bill?
Oh, Bill,
Oh, Bill, yeah.
maybe,
Bill's part
of it.
maybe Bill came
Yeah.
on, yeah. So, I mean, like, one of the things was down on Route 80, going towards East Haven Line, kind of redoing some of the zoning there, we did that.
Mhm.
And that's why, like, talking about this one here, same thing, looking down towards the Guilford line,
Mhm.
looking to rezone some of that. So, then there was a lot of things in there that were like nice to haves. But then
Yeah.
through the course of those 10 years, things change, and all of a sudden what
Mhm.
seemed like a good idea became, the town, we're going a different direction.
Mhm.
So it kind of changes a little bit too, on the fly. So maybe we didn't capture all those goals from 10 years ago, but we maybe went off and did some other things, which we did. So, and that's what happened on this one as
Mhm.
well. So,
Yeah. Good.
Will everybody be here on the 7th? Do we have anything
Mhm.
good going on the 7th?
Yes, we have 2 public hearings for the zone changes, so the one on 22 with SPI, New
Yeah.
England Asphalt and Nature Works, and then the rezoning at the intersection of 139 and
Oh,
Route 80,
yeah.
which is just like
Yeah.
that small parcel and the state-owned parcels,
Yeah.
from just B3 to B2.
Did they go into the paper already, or?
They should
should
be
be, yeah.
in next week. They're in next Thursday and the following Thursday, because there's 2 weeks. I think
Right.
we have actually 3 weeks in between our meetings.
This
So-
time around, yeah.
Right, yeah.
What's Thanksgiving on the 24th?
The following, 28.
Yeah.
Oh, 28th, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have 2
Yeah,
meetings
3
in
weeks.
November.
discuss this more, so I think so we'll have this one, which is the coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Then we could talk a little bit more about, talk a tree farm and that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I think, okay, so we can do that. Okay. Do we, so the town council gave us an approval.
Right, they
Or-
were the first part, but then you guys were the final
Right, so
approval.
when do we have to do that?
You already did it at the,
The last
when
one?
Pat was here.
I
You
thought we just
approved it
do-
with the changes.
Oh, okay, I just thought we were approving with the changes, that goes to town council, they stamp it, then it comes back to us.
No, it doesn't have
We're
to go
done.
back, yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep,
Alright.
so I just put it in the newspaper today for effectiveness
Okay.
tomorrow.
Oh, I go ahead and ask you. One last thing. So, when was wetlands? Last night?
No, it's next Wednesday.
Okay, all right. Because there was a few people on social media that were concerned about, what's the, over 55
Yes,
on.
yes, Fowler Road.
Yeah, Fowler Road.
Yeah,
So they were concerned, because I guess it's going to wetlands for.
yes.
So that's a
Public
public
hearing.
hearing, correct. So there was a few folks that didn't realize that it was already passed, they were like, okay, what's the size of the, so I just wanted, some of the people there, maybe.
That's for the zoning,
They didn't realize that it's already been approved.
for zoning.
Yeah, from our group, so I explained to them that the original plan was a larger scope, I believe it was around 300.
Mm-hmm.
Then they came back and they made a smaller one, and then there were some concerns like this as well, it could be used for any age, and I was like, no, that's not the case. I
Right.
think it's 80, I says, there's a percentage, it might be 80-20 or 90-10,
Yes,
I just
both.
didn't recall. Yeah, that's what I, okay.
Unfortunately.
Yeah,
You're responding back on social media?
well, because I didn't want people to go.
No, I
and
think that's great.
Yeah, so
I'm not on social media.
Yeah, so I
that's
just
why.
made it very,
Yeah,
because I didn't have all the details in front of me,
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
wanna spell the whole thing out.
yeah.
I just wanna say that it's not a public hearing for,
Correct.
it's already been
Yeah.
approved.
Well, the zoning has been
The
approved by
zoning's
you
been
guys,
approved,
but not the
so-
layout of the, you guys still need approval
Yeah.
Yeah,
of the, age-restricted special use layout of the homes and
Right.
also for the elderly development
Right.
layout of all of
but I
these.
just didn't want the folks to go to wetlands
Right.
thinking that it was the whole thing, cause somebody says, what's the
Yeah.
size of what's on the property now, what's the size versus, and I says,
They're
two
behind us
different
there.
things, we've already approved, they, that, you know,
Zone change,
the
yeah,
zone
that-
change,
Yeah.
Or for their project.
That's the only thing that.
So it's only on the
approves.
wetlands part. Now, after they go to wetlands, then will that come to us after that? Okay. Is that a public hearing?
Yes, two public hearings because
There's
it's
two different.
elderly development, so it's
Oh,
zoned
right, right, right.
industrial, but you can have elderly
Yep.
development. You guys were probably, you were on the board probably when the original was approved.
Oh, yeah, 'cause they took the.
That was in 2006.
Yeah.
And then you also need to have a public hearing for the age-restricted housing district, which they're applying on that parcel on Notch Hill. And that's the new access, which
Right.
that has not been approved yet.
I thought we did.
Wait, no, I thought.
No, you approved the zone change, but not the layout. Remember, because there was the question of how many homes, they were showing 5 or 6.
Yeah, and we said we
And they
control the
said-
numbers,
Well,
Yeah.
you guys had said we're approving the zone change, but
not a
there's no
fan
guarantee
of.
on the
But I
number
thought
of
we-
units,
'cause they had a
because they
lot
had
up
to
front.
stay in harmony
They,
with the
yeah,
neighborhood.
so they had a bunch of them up front on that road, where we said, okay, we like the road, we just didn't like the cluster of housing there, we want, since you got enough property, push them back.
Right, and then it was a question about exactly how many.
Right.
But the
gotcha.
entrance on Notch Hill, I thought when they were doing the map approval, they made clear they wanted that as the entrance, but like how we mentioned,
Right.
we wanted to make sure that it
Not
wasn't
a ton of
clustered, it
houses,
wasn't
yeah.
that way for a variety of reasons and stuff like that. I thought
It's a
that
big,
was,
it's a
that was
big
ma-
project, so
yeah.
they've
Well,
been
they showed us, they just brought in a recommended site plan,
a concept,
a
right?
concept, so, I mean, with the road there and the houses.
Well, no, so yeah, the concept, but that was part of them taking down those two houses to get the.
Oh, that's what-
the
yeah.
Zone change was, if they got that, they wanted to take those down and do the entrance there.
Right.
Mhm.
That's what they informed us when they came in.
That's their intent, right.
Yeah.
So we'll see that in the site plan when it comes through.
Yeah.
Oops, okay.
So I don't know when you should expect that, because the first public hearing is being held next Wednesday with wetlands,
Mhm.
and we still have to have a site walk.
then the
And I'm
sidewalk.
recommending that they just wait, because I don't want them to have 2 applications going and then run out of time with one board.
Mm.
You know, I'd rather have them get
Yeah.
an approval from wetlands, but.
Carrie, did they have already one site walk, or that never happened?
No,
Okay.
no.
We did one, but that was only because of some stuff.
Violation, maybe?
Yeah, that's what it was. I don't know if it was me and Kurt, me and you, me and the folks from
Cherry Hill?
the property owners, yeah.
Okay.
I think it was me and Kurt. But anyhow, alright.
Remember, right, your favorite part?
Wow, we almost couldn't leave the meeting last week because you weren't here. Nobody wanted us to adjourn.
That's funny.
Well, then again, who filled the big shoes?
I mean, Alex and I rotate, but I didn't last time.
I'll have to check reports. So.
Yeah, watch the tape.
That being the case, I motion we adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.